Alrighty. Oh, I think this is the right one. Hello. Nope. Have I got sound? I have sound. I just couldn't hear it. Okay. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Greetings to everyone. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Sorry, just a little bit of behind setting up the show. Again, it takes me a little while to get everything in place. But hello, we're live on Rockfin. Rockfinners, I see you. A few chatters. William, Denver. Hello, Victory, Jin. Victory, Jin. What's up? Something's in the water. Tim Bob, John Glad, Poppy. Everybody's here. How y'all doing? We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Colin, and on Twitter. Is anybody on Twitter? Anybody I can say hi to on Twitter? I think somebody's watching. Somebody liked the video already. I can't tell whether anybody's watching during the show. Maybe that's because I'm not verified. Okay, so chilly finally in the Ozarks, Poppy. We got a good dump of rain overnight last night. It's kind of cooler. It's a little cooler right now, so that's kind of nice. A little more seasonal. It's not weird and hot. Sound is good. Everything is good. Okay, great. Okay, great. Yes, Tim Bob, that's correct. You know that line? There's a line in Glenn Ross, or not a line. There's a scene with Al Pacino. It's just where he's sitting with the guy. I forget what he's like. You just ever take just the nicest shit, and you just feel great. I don't know, something like that. It's just the funniest. I don't know, that scene just kills me. Anyways, whatever. Nothing feels better than a nice shit. Sorry, I went there. Yeah, it's a great movie. It is a great movie. But that's is the best a man can do. Okay. Why are we talking about this? All right. It's your fault. You brought it up. You are to blame. Show. Show. Show enough. Show enough. It's your fault. Uh-huh. Meow. Oh, cool. Hold on one second, y'all. Give me a moment. I need to check something. Anyways, the lines are going to be a little open. I don't know. I don't know. The lines are going to be a little open. I don't even know why I said that. The call-in line is open for a bit. So there's that. Call-in lines are open for a bit. We'll say 5 minutes. Somebody's oh. I thought somebody was talking to me on Callin, but then there's nobody there. Callin is a weird app. Callin is it's cool. I like Callin. Don't get me wrong. It's a little weird. It's sometimes hard to see when somebody's listening. It's very ghosty. So let's jump into it since we started a little bit later. With Five Eyes, someone is. I was listening to a really good conversation about surveillance and maybe technology that we're not aware of yet. You know that they have developed a way to they can sense your vitals through Wi-Fi. I'm sure they can do a lot more through Wi-Fi. I was just reading or listening to something about the capabilities of having like remote. They can I think get your heart rate and other vitals through Wi-Fi. You just need to be sitting there. That's that's concerning. What else can they do through Wi-Fi? Oh, we were just talking about this anyways, right? They can they can track your movement with Wi-Fi. That's for sure, Denver. Yeah. Excuse me. They can track your movement. They can, if you think of with the magic that is Wi-Fi. Think about the actuality of what we're, you can charge your phone through Wi-Fi. If you can charge your phone through Wi-Fi, what else? What else can they charge? What else are they charging up on you with the Wi-Fi? They can hear me talking about side hustles and send a bot into my Rockfin chat to tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist. That's what they can do through, I don't know, through Wi-Fi, I guess. I'm scared. Maybe I should dump it all in the trash. They can also determine the consistency of my movement. Yeah. Or maybe there's like a box. I need like a metal aligned, lead lined box Or I can. No, I know they don't. I don't need. They don't need Wi-Fi for that. I'm just saying they can hear. They can hear you talking about uh, anything, shoes. It happens all the time to me. I'm having a conversation with somebody. Last night, I make my own tortillas. I make all my own. Uh, what was that? Did I miss it? Over your. Okay, I get it. I get it now. Sorry. The consistency of your movement. We were on the poop jokes earlier. I got it. Uh, yeah, you'll talk. I make my own tortillas. I make my own bread. I make a lot of my own food. Like I don't buy store bought products as much as possible. So I was making tortillas last night, and then I get on Instagram and there's somebody showing me how to make tortillas. I'm like, I already know how to make tortillas, but just because I was saying the word tortillas, you decided to show me something about making tortillas. I'm like, all right, creepy. Don't be creepy, man. Breathing pattern, heart rates, etc. Yeah, electric CNA Wi-Fi is among other things electromagnetic. Yeah, yep, yep. Breathing pattern, heart rates. For sure. What can be wrong with bleach enriched flour? I use organic flour, but it's better than buying some bread with a bunch of preservatives and. Here's how I know that what I make is better for me than what I buy at the store, because what I make lasts about 3 days. I've got about 3 days to eat it. Um and then it's just not that great anymore, and it starts to get bad really quickly. If I buy bread from the store, it's cool for a couple of weeks, just sitting out on my counter. I don't even have to freeze it, and it's fine. I can eat it. Takes a long time for it to go bad. That's how I know that what I'm making is better for me. Even if I was using bleach enriched flour, it's still better for me. Um, I'm positive it's better for me than whatever I'm buying that comes in a plastic bag that's been sitting in a plastic bag for who knows how long on a store shelf. And you're gonna buy it, and it's gonna sit in the same plastic bag for who knows how long. Corn tortillas never seem to go bad from the store. Yeah, right. Exactly. I make my own corn tortillas as well. So, and again, you have a couple days to eat them. And that's how I know um, they're better just on a basic level of not containing all the stuff, right? Bleached enriched glyphosate flour. Yeah, it's. I try and stay away from all that. I try. I try. My girlfriend really makes sure that I try to buy organic stuff and not crazy crappy stuff. It's hard. Things are expensive, right? Even if you buy organic, it's way expensive. All right, we have talked a lot. I do my best with the organic food. Here's the thing. Hold on. You use the no knead method for making bread, yeah. Global solidarity. Imagine collecting enough acorns to make flour for the whole tribe. Yeah, I have acorns a plenty in my front yard. I have this oak tree that just rains down acorns. If I was really of the mind, I would. I rake them all up and throw them in the trash, but I would rake them all up and grind them. I have a molcajete. I can grind the acorns by hand and make me some acorn flour. Well, all right. What's happening here, guys? Cool. Well, let's get into some news, and then we'll maybe banter a bit again. In the near future, I know I'm moving a little slow. Yeah, I mean, I would like to try the acorn thing. I would love it. I mean, I have so many. I could probably scoop them all up and try and make a little acorn flour or acorn. This is a lot of work. It's already a lot of work making my own food. Making up the bread and the tortillas. It's a lot of work. Speaking of which, I got to make some bread right after the show. I'm gonna make some more bread. Because that's the thing. When you make your own bread, you have to eat it quickly. So you have to make a lot of it. You have to make it. It goes quick. It goes fast, right? I make like a loaf every couple of days, and a loaf will last. It'll last. We'll either eat it within a day or two, or it'll be around for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then so I'm kind of constantly in the process of making bread. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I do the same, Denver. I knead and mix. I mix the dough, knead it in the bowl. Right. I don't even take it out. A lot of times, the bread I make is it's quite simple. Even though I make sourdough mostly, it's still very simple, pretty simple process. I can't do a complicated. I don't have the bandwidth for a complicated bread process or anything else. If it's something I can do really quickly and easily, then I'll do it. By gum, I'll do it. I say. By gams. Okay. um, Exceptional warmth going on in Canada. Temperatures rose to 17 C. We were just talking about it. Yes, I do have sourdough starter, Poppy. I have two. Because I make so much bread, I have to have a lot of sourdough starter going all the time too. So I have like 2 jars of starter, and I just keep feeding them every day, or try to every day. And I also make sourdough biscuits from the same starter. The biscuits are really good, very buttery. Temperatures rose 17 C in the evening in Quebec. 17 C in the evening in Quebec in December. It's like a July evening temperature. That's like a temperature in July. 15, 17 C also in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. It's exceptional. And it's not over yet. The warmth will spread to Newfoundland, or Newfoundland, as they say, and St. Pierre next. Yeah. That's not normal. That's not supposed to be happening. That is not, uh, something that we want happening on the planet Earth, and yet here it is. Here it is happening. Uh, hold on, I gotta hold on a second, guys. Trying to figure out something here. Hold, please. You know what? Okay. Uh, something from Leon Simons. All the past 12 months were blinking red hot. With the data of the final 2 months of 2023, absorbed solar radiation anomaly might jump to 2.4 watts per square meter over the 2000 to 2009 average. And he has been, I just showed you a post from the other day about the amount of radiation being absorbed. Rain. It is very rainy. Heavy precipitation events are becoming more frequent and intense. Well, duh. Especially in the east. In the northeast, rainfall has increased an average of 60% on the heaviest rain days of the year. And definitely here as well. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never seen the heaviness of the rain. That we have, now. Like whenever it rains like crazy buckets of rain. And it used to be, Southern California doesn't get a lot of rain. It used to get a lot of like kind of wispy wannabe rain when it did rain. But over the last few years, the rain events have become much more dramatic. Like intense amounts of rain. So there's definitely something happening, and there was some flooding in South Carolina over the weekend. I don't know if it's over yet. Let's see. I think I have heavy flooding on the street due to extreme rains in downtown Charleston of South Carolina. This is from yesterday. So that, it's happening everywhere, right? This is a weird, I don't know what he means. We must be very careful. Of what? Very careful of what? We should have been very careful about 40 years ago or 100 years ago. I don't know. We can debate that. When James Hansen was in front of Congress talking about the possibility of losing a regulated climate on this planet, and that was 40 years ago, right? James Hansen was in front of Congress saying, like, this thing is coming at us. We should probably do something. That was the time to say we must be very careful, which I think he was trying to do. I think he was trying to get that across. We must be very careful. Right now is not, be careful in the future. Be careful of I don't know. What are we going to be careful about now? we've already induced the terminal illness. It's we're past careful. Now is a time when, I don't know what we're going to do now. We must run screaming into the future and, possibly change our ways. Turn the Titanic around on a dime. I don't know, but being careful is not what we're going to be doing. Anyways, we're about to hit. This is dramatic, though. Ooh, garlic naan. That sounds good. Phew. Yes. Yes, sir. We're about to hit daily records of 2.5 C in the Northern Hemisphere next week. Very likely also 2C globally. Oh, we're going to hit 2C globally again. Nice. Like the third time in a few months, we're going to hit 2C again. Great. In the meantime, we see that there's significant and temporary cooling of the Southern Ocean, partly caused by icebergs B22A and A23A. And Peter Dines, melting ice at the poles has reduced the world's albedo from 29% to 28.6%, which might not sound like much, but it is equivalent to an extra 100 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. Both Antarctic and Arctic sea ice could virtually disappear in 2024. Albedo counts. Mitigation is urgent. Mitigation is urgent. That sounds a little better than we must be careful. We must be very careful. We must really start doing something or not. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, I think, sure. Yeah, sure. Careful. I can't help but think of careful with that axe, Eugene. I don't know why. Yeah, take great care in the future. Because it does seem like something like we've broken through some level of normality, I guess. Some level of regular. Okay, this is it's cold and hot and cold, and the seasons look still somewhat look like seasons, and the rain kind of comes when it's supposed to come, and now it's just everything is all over the place, right? We've really as far as temperature goes, broken through some kind of semblance of stability, and the temperature anomaly charts are starting to look like like Bitcoin charts, just shooting straight up or straight down, whichever way you're looking at it. And that's not how temperature charts are supposed to look. They're supposed to be somewhat within a range, but now they're just completely just shooting straight out of the range, and that is not supposed to be happening on planet Earth. Not while humans are trying to do human things or just have some kind of Stability. Meanwhile, everyone knows the rent is so dang high. 1983 or 1985, excuse me, through 2023. U.S. rent prices versus income. Income kind of going up, but rent prices, whammo. Rent prices looking like a temperature chart. Yeah, there is a big volcano going off, right? But if you're wondering also why all the cities in which we live are are filled with tents filled with homeless people. Yeah, could be somewhere in there. Could be somewhere in there. Why? In the why? Um, this from Arnaud Bertrand. It is absolutely extraordinary to me that the U.S. would rather, one, completely obliterate whatever remained of its moral standing in the world, two, risk a regional conflict, and three, cause economic pain to itself and the world, rather than use its leverage to tell a very tiny country to stop waging an insanely immoral war, which, by the way, is also against their interests. This is undoubtedly something that will puzzle many historians in the future. I'm sure that it will puzzle, but I want to counter. I mean, I feel like on some levels this is intentional. I mean, how could it not be? It doesn't seem like they're trying to really avoid an escalation. It seems like, right? Does the U.S. care about its moral standing in the world anymore? They seem to have let that go. It seems to be an all-out, uh, just dash into insanity, right? Like we're just going for it. We know the future is a race to control resources on on a planet that's quickly losing all of its resources. Right, when things are kind of spiraling out of control. Uh, this is a mad dash for like the power, uh, a mad dash for power, right, and control of what's going on planet Earth. And it's right out in the open. It's not. It's barely concealed. They're still trying to make it seem like it's democracy and the good guys and right, and maybe and I'm sure the fact that the climate is spinning out of control, right, and things are going to quickly unravel, and these people want to make sure that they're in a position to maintain control or take control of whatever's going on when things start to fall apart. The United States. Well, let's listen to this from this lunatic.
As John F. said in 1960, as John F. Kennedy said in 1960,
You keep John F. Kennedy's name out your mouth, Lloyd Austin.
America's friendship with Israel is a national commitment. That was true then, and it's even truer now. The United States will remain Israel's closest friend in the world. As I've said repeatedly, our support for Israel's security remains unshakable, and it always will.
All right, well, there you go. Unshakable. Yeah, I'm not sure that we're not trying to risk a regional conflict, because we're going to talk about the Houthis. And yes, who was it? Just had a. Where's the comment? Where's the comment I just saw? Sorry. Oh, Tim Bob. It's like pushing over a candy machine, genocide, right? But I'm not sure they want to. Yeah, they don't want to avoid any of this. As far as causing economic pain to itself in the world, I don't know. I don't think these people are feeling economic pain. As far as the people of the country, right? Illegal common garden, yeah, the illegal immigrants, new conscripts for the military because nobody wants to go. I'm not sure that we want to avoid all of this. I think this is pretty nakedly, possibly part of the plan. This is our this is our strong suit, genocide, and we really don't seem to have a problem with it, even though we're the best. Even though we're the best, I guess. I don't think we have a problem with it, unfortunately. But I want to look at this other story. U.S. is pressuring Saudi Arabia to end its peace deal with Yemen so that Saudi Arabia can join the new coalition to protect shipments to Israel by fighting against Houthis in the Red Sea who are stopping imports into Israel in protest of their genocide in Gaza. This is also weird to me too. Like Yemen, we've been backing this civil war in Yemen. I guess they're calling same with like what they called a civil war in Saudi Arabia and Syria. It's not it's not necessarily a civil war. It's somebody trying to knock out the leadership of the country basically, and claim that it's the people doing it or somebody's resisting. But they don't like the they don't like the Yemenis. They don't like the Houthis in control of Yemen, right? And so the U.S. has been backing this war that Saudi Arabia has been waging. But here's the thing. It's not like they have all kinds of, if we really wanted to go in and just like wipe out Yemen, we could totally do it. Right? It's not, it's like Iraq or anywhere else. I think all of this is in like a build up into trying to get into a war with Iran. Again, another country we could just absolutely flatten to the ground. If we really were of the mind to, we could just completely obliterate them. So all this is, I think, part of some kind of bigger plan. But I mean, on one level, you could say, like, yeah, good for the Houthis for getting out there and getting in the way of what's going on. But, really, the biggest, baddest, meanest, toughest, most technologically advanced military in the world can't stop these guys from commandeering some ships. Can't stop. Just can't take out the Yemenis leadership. Oh, right? Because like we couldn't just do that. I think all of this is I'm not necessarily of the mind that there isn't some bigger game afoot in all of this, which is actually the attempt to really get us into a bigger conflict. Because I think that is exactly what we want to do. What's going on here? Hold on. So let's listen to this from Nico House.
In Gaza. Now I want to be... So the United States has announced expanded protection for Red Sea shipping. And the reason why is pretty simple. Yemen has been giving Israeli shipments all of the work they could ask for. Already, 5 big shipping companies have now stopped their ships from using the Red Sea in wake of attacks mounted by the Houthis in protest of Israel's genocide in Gaza. Now, I want to be clear about that because this article tries to say that it's because they're protesting the elimination of Hamas. That's not it. They're protesting genocide, so I just want to be clear. Even BP had to suspend shipping. Despite knowing that the United States has their back, they were like, y'all might have our back, but this ain't about to be the day that we figure out whether or not the Houthis are liars. So to combat the Houthis holding down the Red Sea in protest of the genocide that is happening in Gaza, allegedly the United States plans on putting a coalition together that includes Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, of course the US, France, and Great Britain. Now, of course, the United States and Israel, of course, and France and Britain, we kind of expect. But what in the Uncle Tom is going on with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the UAE? What makes this even more interesting is that we know that Saudi Arabia and Yemen have had a bit of a tumultuous past, to say the least, considering Saudi Arabia was funding a genocide in Yemen. But they were actually on the verge of a peace deal that the United States is not pressuring Saudi Arabia to break in order to form this coalition. And Yemen has made it clear that if Saudi Arabia and the UAE join this coalition, of course, that would violate the peace deal, and they're just going to bomb the shit out of their oil and gas field. I think what makes this a little bit more frustrating is the fact that you see the average person from Saudi Arabia and the average person from the UAE and the average Arab from even Egypt all supporting the Palestinian cause and calling out Israel's genocide there. And yet the leadership of these countries are selling out their people, selling out their culture, and selling out their brothers and sisters and cousins in Palestine on behalf of the United States and a NATO power that would betray them the moment it's convenient. So let's hope that this coalition never comes into fruition and that Saudi Arabia and the UAE will continue this peace deal with Yemen, because that's definitely better than allowing shipments to continue to get through to Israel that would just let them have supplies that they'll continue to use in the genocide of Gaza. I mean, I feel like a peace deal is probably better for everybody than the latter.
Well, sure, but, peace might be getting in the way of something else. I mean, on one level, hooray for the Houthis, right? But if you support what their stand is, and I think a lot of people support that. So who are the Houthis and why are they attacking ships in the Red Sea? Have y'all been following this story? Yemen's Iran. Yemen's, here you go. The very first sentence carries a lot of weight in it. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis, right? Houthi rebels are stepping up their strikes on ships. They want to let you know that they are backed by Iran. This is all Iran, right? This is so. They're stepping up their strikes on ships, excuse me, in the Red Sea, which they say are revenge against Israel for its military campaign in Gaza. The attacks have forced some of the world's biggest shipping and oil companies to suspend transit. Sorry, I was just getting a little bit of it. There we go. Suspend transit through one of the world's most important maritime trade routes, which could potentially cause a shock to the global economy. A shock to the global economy. The Houthis are believed to have been armed and trained by Iran, and there are fears that their attacks could escalate Israel's war against Hamas into a wider regional conflict. Well, let's be conspiratorial a little bit. Let's say we didn't really mind the Houthis being around and being able to kind of be a thorn in the side so that we can, get this coalition together, right? This coalition of folks together in the region, which could in the future be, helpful to, right? Like bring about kind of a bigger push. Maybe this is a helpful turn of events. Just like Hamas on that fateful day, October 7th, right? Hamas being able to overwhelm some IDF forces and take some hostages and blah blah blah, right? Maybe this is all very convenient to a bigger plan. The Houthis are believed to have been armed and trained by Iran, and there are fears that their attacks could escalate Israel's war against Hamas into a wider regional conflict. Again, here's what we know about the Houthis and why they're getting involved in the war. The Houthi movement, also known as Ansar Allah, supporters of God, is one side of the Yemeni civil war that has raged for nearly a decade. It emerged in the 1990s when its leader Hussein al-Houthi launched Believing Youth, a religious revival movement for a centuries-old subsect of Shia Islam called Zaydism. Zaydis ruled Yemen for centuries, but were marginalized under the Sunni regime that came to power after the 1962 civil war. Al-Houthi's movement was founded to represent Zaydis and resist radical Sunnism, particularly Wahhabi ideas from Saudi Arabia. His closest followers became known as Houthis. How did they gain power? Ali Abdullah Saleh, the first president of Yemen after the 1990 unification of North and South Yemen, initially supported the Believing Youth. But as the movement's popularity grew and anti-government rhetoric sharpened, it became a threat to Saleh. Things came to a head in 2003 when Saleh supported the United States invasion of Iraq, which many Yemenis, I don't know, supported or opposed. They opposed it, sorry. Can't read right now. Many Yemenis opposed the United States invasion of Iraq. For al-Houthi, the rift was an opportunity. Seizing on the public outrage, he organized mass demonstrations. After months of disorder, Saleh issued a warrant for his arrest. Al-Houthi was killed in September 2004 by Yemeni forces, but his movement lived on. The Houthis' military wing grew as more fighters joined the cause. Emboldened by the early Arab Spring protests in 2011, they took control of the northern province of Sada, and called for the end of the Saleh regime. Saleh agreed in 2011 to hand power to his vice president Abdurabu Mansour Hadi, but the government was no more popular. The Houthis struck again in 2014, taking control of parts of Sana'a, Yemen's capital, before eventually storming the presidential palace early the next year. Hadi fled to Saudi Arabia, which launched a war against the Houthis at his request in March 2015. What was expected to be a swift campaign lasted years. Ceasefire was finally signed in 2022. It lapsed after 6 months, but warring parties haven't returned to full-scale conflict, so they still have a little bit of a peace agreement going on. The United Nations has said the war in Yemen has turned into the world's worst humanitarian crisis, and that's who's suffering the fallout from all of this. Whether you believe the Houthis are really a rebel entity, or maybe they're part of a bigger game. The fallout is that people are starving in Yemen. That the people of Yemen are suffering under all this warfare and bloodshed. Just like, let me see, some other places I can think of. Golly gee, what other places could you think of that this same story is happening? Could be Syria, Iraq. People are still suffering in Iraq. Let me see. Gaza could be. Right? Ukraine. For a long time, it was Afghanistan. Right. Jazz Farm. You know who has a hand in all of this? The big old global club that you ain't in. I got a really, really nice tip from Rich Diana on YouTube. Thanks, man. Rich Diana says, "Merry globally warmed Christmas, Kev." And the chat is nice and big and red and Christmassy. So thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for got 100 smackaroos there. That will come in handy, sir. Thank you. Right. I mean, I think all of this is kind of playing out as intended. I really, I don't necessarily believe that we are not, uninterested in having the Houthis doing, causing more mayhem or giving us an excuse. This is what I'm trying to get at is, if they're attacking ships in the Red Sea and we've got to get this coalition together to, and they're backed by Iran. Oh my God. And we know you guys are right. This is all very handy in escalating conflict or maybe giving us a reason to go after Iran. And so there you go. But right, in the same way that Hamas is funded by Israel, right? And we know this. Hamas is funded by Israel. So why are we're bombing the ever-living socks off of everything and everybody in Gaza because we're trying to get Hamas, but we're funding Hamas. That's not weird, is it? That's not. Well, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. I don't know. People conspire to do things all the time. Why is that so weird? Oh man, I have a good clip on that, and I don't know if I really want to play it on YouTube or not. Denver. So yeah, and I don't know if I had something more to play on this about the Houthis and what's going on there. Houthis, shock and awe. Really? Houthis, shock and awe? They got some shock and awe? Shock and awe. Don't want to play that. For you, you guys don't need to see that. Houthis shock U.S. and UK Navy and Egypt Air Force with 14 drones in massive attack towards Israel. they get the drones from? Yes, Poppy Davis not owns Hamas. Israel funds Hamas. They fund them. In fact, I think they created Hamas in order to draw attention away from, in order to lessen the cause confusion. There, the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, was originally the rebellion entity in the region, and they created. Here we go. They created Hamas. Hold on, we'll get there. Shockwaves, massive drone attack. Where did they get the drones? I wonder. Hold on. Israel went from helping. Here we go. The Intercept. How Israel helped create Hamas. Helped create Hamas.
The Palestinian militant group Hamas has carried out brutal acts of terror against Israeli civilians, and Israeli and American leaders are always keen to tell us how dangerous and evil Hamas is.
The inhumanity of Hamas.
I have no sympathy for Hamas.
That keep shelling Israel with thousands of rockets and mortar shells.
But what if I told you that Israel helped create Hamas? Officially, Hamas, which is the acronym for an Arabic phrase meaning Islamic Resistance Movement, was founded in 1987, at the start of the first Palestinian Intifada, or uprising against the Israeli occupation. But its roots were planted much earlier. The Hamas founder, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, was a half-blind, disabled Palestinian cleric and member of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood had been repressed by the Egyptians in Gaza prior to 1967. But once the Israelis invaded and occupied the Strip, they didn't just turn a blind eye to these Islamists. They encouraged them. See, the Israelis, especially right-wing Israelis, wanted to undermine the power of the dominant Palestinian political force at that time, the nationalist PLO, at the heart of which was the secular Fatah party of Yasser Arafat, their bête noire.
لقد جئتكم يا سيادة الرئيس بغصن الزيتون في يدي وببندقية الثائر في يدي.
By empowering Sheikh Yassin and the Muslim Brotherhood, Israeli leaders thought they could divide and rule the occupied Palestinians, play them off against each other, secular nationalists against religious Islamists. So in 1978, when Yassin wanted to officially register his Islamic Association, which was basically the precursor to Hamas, the Israelis were only too keen to help. Yassin built and grew a network of Islamist social institutions across Gaza, including schools and clubs and mosques, and Israel helped fund some of those projects. Most American politicians have no clue about any of this, although the former Republican Congressman Ron Paul once made this point on the floor of the House.
Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat.
Arafat himself told an Italian newspaper, quote, Hamas is a creature of Israel. He even claimed that former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin admitted as much, calling it a fatal error. Now, you might be wondering.
There you go. You had questions? There you go. And if you, some people are also saying that some people are saying that the attack was not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? That maybe it was they allowed it to happen, right? Because they knew about it for a year. They were getting warnings about they allowed it to. Why would they allow it to happen? So they could have an excuse to go get everybody out of Gaza. So, something like that. That's the theory, anyways. All right. Hey, I want to play this video from where is it? This is about I'm going to play this on Rockfin. So YouTubers, appreciate you. I'm going to see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're going to jump off of YouTube and go to Rockfin real quick so I can play this video, and then I'm going to be done with the show today. YouTube, peace. Well, before I leave YouTube, these are the ways that you can support the show. These are all these shows are for free to you every day. No paywalls whatsoever. And so I do depend on your help in order to keep the show going. And you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. Cash App at Red Llama Music. You can Venmo me at Kevin Samblum. You can PayPal.me/Kevin Samblum. You can Zelle me at KevinSamblum at ProtonMail.com. Those are the ways. All right, YouTubers, I'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll go to Rockfin. Peace.